back with this week's reading of the Messianic Jewish Family Bible Tree of Life version, TLV. And at the end of part 2, we were actually halfway. Well, we had actually discussed the northern kingdom of Israel, which were 10 tribes in the northern kingdom, known as Israel, that went into captivity. And we are now about to discuss the southern kingdom of Judah. Now her sister Oholiba saw this, yet she was more depraved in her lust than her sister, and her promiscuous acts worse. She lusted after the Assyrians, governors and rulers, warriors, splendidly clad horsemen riding on horses, all of them handsome young men. I saw that she defiled herself. They both went the same way. She kept increasing her harlotry. She saw men carved on the wall, the images of the Chaldeans carved in red, girded with sashes on their loins, with flowing turbans on their heads. All of them had the appearance of officers, the likeness of Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their birth. As soon as she saw them, she lusted after them. She sent messengers to them in Chaldea. The Babylonians came to her, to the bed of her love, and defiled her with their lust. Yet when she was defiled by them, she turned away from them in disgust. When she exposed her harlotry and uncovered her nakedness, her soul was disgusted by her, just as my soul was disgusted by her sister. Yet she multiplied her harlotry, remembering the days of her youth, when she was a harlot in the land of Egypt. She lusted after their paramours, whose flesh is like the flesh of donkeys, and whose issue is like that of horses. So you revisited the promiscuity of your youth when the Egyptians used to fondle your bosom and youthful breasts. Therefore, Oholiba, thus says Adonai Elohim, behold, I will stir up your lovers against you, from whom you turned in disgust. I will bring them against you on every side, the Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekod, Shoa, and Koa, and all the Assyrians with them, handsome young men, governors and rulers, all of them, commanders and officers, all of them riding on horses. They will come against you with armed chariots, whirling wheels, and assembly an assembly of people. They will set themselves against you on every side with armor, shield, and helmet. I will delegate judgment to them, so they will judge you according to your standards of justice. To their standards of justice. I will vent my jealousy against you, letting them deal with you in fury. They will cut off your nose and your ears, and your survivors will fall by the sword. They will take your sons and your daughters, and your survivors will be devoured by fire. They will strip your clothes and take your beautiful jewelry. I will put an end to you and your immorality brought from the land of Egypt. You will no longer lift your eyes toward them or remember Egypt any more. For thus says Adonai Elohim, behold, I will give you into the hand of those you hate, into the hand of those who you turned away from in disgust. They will treat you with hatred, take all your property, leave you naked and exposed. The vulgarity of your prostitutions will be uncovered, your debauchery and your promiscuity. These things will be done to you. For you have gone as a harlot after the nations, so you are defiled with their idols. You have walked in the way of your sister, so I will give her cup into your hand. Thus says Adonai Elohim, you will drink of your sister's cup, which is deep and wide. You will be for laughter and ridicule. It holds so much. You will be filled with drunkenness and agony, a cup of horror and desolation, the cup of your sister Samaria. You will drink it and drain it, gnaw its shards and tear your breast, for I have spoken. It is a declaration of Adonai. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim, because you have forgotten me and thrust me behind your back, you will also bear your obscenity and your harlotry. Then Adonai said to me, Son of man, you will the Son of man, will you pass judgment on Obolah and Oholiba? Confront them with their disgusting practices, for they have committed adultery, and blood is on their hands. They have committed adultery with their idols, and even offered their children, whom they bore for me, to be devoured. Again, this they have done to me. They defiled my sanctuary on the same day and profaned my Shabbatot. On the same day that they slaughtered their children to their idols, they came into my sanctuary to profane it. See, that is what they have done within my house. Furthermore, they sent for men who come from far away. A messenger was sent to them, and look, they came. For them they bathed, painted your eyes, and decked yourselves with jewelry. You sat on a glorious bed with a table arranged before it, on which you set on my incense and my oil. The sound of the carefree crowd was with her. Many of the men who came from the desert were drunkards. They put bracelets on their hands and beautiful crowns on their heads. Then I set, then I set about her, worn out from harlotry. Still they committed immorality with her, even her. They keep going to her as they go to a prostitute. So they went to Obalah and to Ohilibah, the obscene women. Righteous men would judge them as adulteresses are judged, and as those who shed blood are judged. For they are adulteresses, and blood is on their hands. For thus says Adonai Elohim, bring up an assembly against them, give them over to the terror and plunder. The assembly will stone them to death and dispatch them with their swords. They will slaughter their sons and daughters. They will burn down their houses. So I will make obscenity cease from the land, that all women may be taught not to imitate your obscenity. They will repay you both for wickedness, and you will bear the sins of your idols, so you will know that I am Adonai. And I also wanted to add to this is Ohala means her tent, and Oholibah is my tent is in her. And actually, this is compared to the sin of idolatry and to the sin of adultery. And it these were named as sisters, but also like we had mentioned, it's the personifications given by the prophet Ezekiel to the cities of Samaria in the kingdom of Israel and Jerusalem in the kingdom of Judah. So Adonai is bringing up the sins of both and claiming them to be harlots and adulteresses. And it's chapter 24 where Ezekiel's wife dies, and we're going to be reading that in the second part of chapter 24. We're going to talk first about the parable of a rusted pot. The word of Adonai came to me in the 10th day of the 10th month of the 9th year, saying, Son of man, record this date. This exact day, this very day the king of Babylon has laid siege to Jerusalem. Utter a parable concerning the rebellious house. Say to them, Thus says Adonai Elohim, put on the pot, put it on, and then pour water into it. Gather the pieces into it, every good piece, thigh and shoulder, fill it with the choice bones. Take the choicest of the flock and pile the bones under it. Bring it to a rolling boil, so that its bones also seethe in it. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim, Oi to the city of bloodshed, to the pot whose corrosion is in it, whose rust will not come off it. Draw it out piece by piece. No lot would fall for it. For her bloodshed is in her midst. She put it on the bare rock. She did not pour it upon the ground, to cover it with dust. So it stirs up wrath for taking vengeance. I have put her blood on the bare rock, that it may not be covered. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim, Oi to the city of bloodshed. I will also make the pile great, heaping on the wood, kindling the fire, boiling the meat well, and mixing in spices. But let the bones be burned. I will set it empty upon the coals until it gets hot and its copper scorches, so its impurity will be melted, its corrosion consumed. It has wearied toil, yet its thick rust will not come out of it into the fire with its corrosion. Because of your filthy obscenity, though I tried to purify you, yet you were not made pure. You will never be cleansed from your filth until I have satisfied my fury on you. I, Adonai, have spoken. It is coming. I will do it. I will not let go. Not pity, not relent. According to your ways and according to your deeds, they will judge you. It is a declaration of Adonai. And here's the second part. Ezekiel's wife dies. The word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, behold, I am about to take away the desire of your eyes with a single blow. Do not lament. He told them not to mourn her. Do not weep or allow any tears to flow. Sigh silently. Do not absorb mourning for the dead. Keep your turban fastened and keep your sandals on your feet. Do not cover your upper lip or eat the bread of mourners. So I spoke to the people in the morning, and my wife died in the evening. In the morning I did just as I was commanded. The people came to me, Won't you tell us what these things you are doing mean to us? Then I said to them, The word of Adonai came to me, saying, Speak to the house of Israel. Thus says Adonai Elohim, Behold, I will profane my sanctuary, the pride of your might, the desire of your eyes, and the longing of your soul. Your sons and your daughters that you have left behind will fall by the sword. You will do just as I have done. You will not cover your upper lips or eat the bread of mourners. Your turbans will remain on your heads, and your shoes on your feet. You will not lament or weep, but you will pine away in your iniquities and groan to each other. Ezekiel will be assigned for you, just as he has done, you will do. When this comes, you will know that I am Adonai. You, son of man, on the day when I take from them their stronghold, the joy of their glory, the desire of their eyes, the longing of their soul, as well as their sons and their daughters. On that day a fugitive will come to tell you the news. On that day your mouth will be open to him who escaped. You will speak and no longer be mute, so you will be assigned to them, and they will know that I am Adonai. And that's the end of chapter 24. Because of the urgency of the situation in Jerusalem, God did not allow Ezekiel to actually mourn his wife. And he set him as an example for the people that they were to also do the same when death and destruction was coming to them. Okay, chapter 25, Vengeance on Nearby Nations. The word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face toward the children of Ammon and prophesy against them. Say to the children of Ammon, Hear the word of Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim, because you said, Aha, against my sanctuary when it was defiled, against the land of Israel when it was made desolate, and against the house of Judah when they went into exile. Therefore, behold, I will give you over to the children of the east as a possession. When we're talking about the children of Ammon, we're talking about the country of Jordan. They will set up the camps among you and make their dwellings among you. They will eat your fruit and drink your milk. I will make Rabbah a grazing place for camels, and the children of Ammon a resting place for flocks. Then you will know that I am Adonai. For thus says Adonai Elohim, because you have clapped your hands, stomped your feet, and rejoiced with all the disdain of your soul against the land of Israel. Therefore, behold, I will stretch out my hand over you. I will deliver you as plunder for the nations. I will cut you off from the people. I will cause you to perish from among the countries. I will destroy you. Then you will know that I am Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim, because Moab and Seir, Seir, say, See, the house of Judah is like all the other nations. Therefore, behold, I will expose the mountain slope of Moab with all its cities, from its frontier cities, the glorious country of Beth Jeshemoth, Bel Meon, and Kiriathaim. I will deliver it together with the children of Ammon to the children of the east as a possession, so that the children of Ammon will not be remembered among the nations. Then I will execute judgment upon Moab. Then they will know that I am Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim, because Edom has taken severe vengeance against the house of Judah, and has grievously offended by taking revenge upon them. Therefore, thus says Adonai Elohim, I will stretch out my hand upon Edom. I will cut off man and beast from it. I will make it desolate. From Teman to Dedan, they will fall by the sword. I will take my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. They will do it in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury. They will know my vengeance. It is a declaration of Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim, because the Philistines have acted in revenge and have taken severe vengeance with scornful soul. destroying in unending hatred. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim, behold, I will stretch out my hand over the Philistines, I will cut off the Cherethites and destroy the remnant of the seacoast. I will execute severe vengeance upon them with furious punishments, so that they will know that I am Adonai when I lay my vengeance upon them. That's the end of chapter 25. And this is what God has sent out judgment against the enemies, actually, of Israel. And those judgments against Israel continue in the upcoming chapters as well. Chapter 26, the downfall of Tyre. Tyre. On the first day of the month in the 11th year, the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Son of man, because Tyre has said against Jerusalem, Aha, she is shattered, the gateway of the people, she is turned over to me. I will be filled now that she is laid waste. Therefore, thus says Adonai Elohim, behold, I am against you, Tyre. I will bring up many nations against you as the sea brings up its waves. They will destroy the walls of Tyre and tear down her towers. I will sweep her dust from her and make her bare rock. She will be a place for the spreading of nets in the midst of the sea, for I have spoken it. It is a declaration of Adonai. She will become plunder for the nations, and her daughters in the field will be slain by the sword, so they will know that I am Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim, behold, from the north I will bring against Tyre Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, king of kings, with horses, with chariots, with horsemen, and a vast army of troops. He will slaughter your daughters in the field with the sword. He will build siege works against you, cast up an assault ramp against you, and raise up shields against you. He will thrust his battering engines against your walls. He will tear down your towers with his weapons. You will be covered with dust from the multitude of his forces. At the noise of the horsemen, wheels, and chariots, your walls will shake when he enters your gates as men enter a breached city. With the hoofs of his horses he will trample all your streets. He will kill your people with the sword. The pillars of your strength will come down to the ground. They will rob your riches and plunder your merchandise. They will tear down your walls and destroy your fine houses. They will cast your stones and your lumber and your dust into the midst of the sea. I will put an end to the sound of your songs. The sound of your lyres, Lyres, the instrument lyres, will no longer be heard. I will make you a bare rock. You will be a place for the spreading of nets. You will be built no more, for I, Adonai, have spoken. It is a declaration of Adonai. Thus says Adonai Elohim to Tyre. Will the coastlands not shake at the sound of your downfall, when the wounded groan, when the slaughter is made in your midst? Then all the princes of the sea will come down from their thrones. They will cast aside their robes. They will take off their richly woven garments. They will clothe themselves with trembling. They will sit on the ground. They will tremble every moment and be appalled at you. They will lift a lament for you and say to you, how you have perished, you who were inhabited from the sea, the renowned city, strong in the sea, you and your inhabitants, who spread their terror for all your inhabitants. Now the coastlands will tremble in the day of your downfall. The inlands of the sea will be terrified at your demise. For thus says Adonai Elohim, when I make you a desolate city, like the cities that are uninhabited, when I bring the flood upon you and your great waters cover you, then I will bring you down with them who descend into the pit, to the people of long ago. I will make you dwell in the lowest parts of the earth, like the waste places of old, with those who go down to the pit, so that you will not be inhabited or radiate splendor in the land of the living. I will make you a horror, and you will no longer exist. Though you are sought for, you will never be found again. It is a declaration of Adonai Elohim. And continuing on with chapter 27, the word of Adonai came to me, saying, You, son of man, lift up a lament for Tyre. Say to Tyre, dwelling at the entrance of the sea, the merchant to the people of many coastlands, thus says Adonai Elohim. Tyre, you said, I am perfect in beauty. Your borders are in the heart of the seas. Your builders perfected your beauty. All your planks have been fashioned from cypress trees of Sinir. They took a cedar from Lebanon to make a mast for you. They made your oars from Bashan's oaks, a boxwood from the islands of Kittim. They make they made your decks inlaid with ivory Fine Egyptian linen was your sail, serving as a banner for you. Your awning was blue and purple from the coast of Elisha. The inhabitants of Sidon and Arvad were your rowers. Your skilled men Tyre were on you. Their, they were your sailors. The elders of Gebal and your experts were within you, caulking your leaks. All the ships of the sea with their sailors were with you to trade for your wares. Persia, Lud, and Put were in your army, our men of war. They hung the shield and helmet in you, and then they gave you splendor. Men of Arvad and Helek were all around your walls. The Gammadim were in your towers. They hung their shields all around your walls. They perfected your beauty. Tarshish was your trading partner because of the abundance of all riches. With silver, iron, tin, and lead, they traded for your merchandise. Javan, Tubal, and Meshach were your traffickers. They gave lives of people and vessels of bronze for your wares. Those from the house of Togarmah traded for your merchandise with horses, steeds, and mules. The men of Dedan traded with you. Many coastlands were your customers. They brought you horns of ivory and ebony as your payment. Aram was your customer because of your abundant goods. They traded for your merchandise with emerald, purple, and embroidered cloth, fine linen, coral, and rubies. Judah and the land of Israel were your customers. They traded for your wares with wheat of Minnith, confections, honey, oil, and balm. Damascus was your customer because of the abundance of your goods and all of your great wealth with the wine of Helbon and wool of white. Vedan and Javan from Uzal traded for your wares. Ironwork, cinnamon, and spices were bartered for your merchandise. Dedan was your dealer in saddlecloth for riding. Arabia and all the princes of Kedar were your favored trading partners in lambs, rams, and goats. In these they were your customers. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah were your vendors. They traded for your wares with the finest spices, all precious stones and gold. Haran and Cana and Eden and the merchants of Sheba, Ashur, and Kilmad traded with you. They traded for your merchandise with gorgeous fabrics, garments of blue and richly woven work, carpets of multicolored material with cords twisted and tightly knotted. The ships of Tarshish serve as carriers for your wares. So you were filled and heavily loaded in the heart of the seas. Your rowers have brought you into great waters, but the east wind will break you in the heart of the seas. Your riches, your wares, your merchandise, your sailors, your pilots, your paupers, the traders of your merchandise, all your men of war that are in you, with all your company in your midst, will fall into the heart of the seas on the day of your downfall. At the sound of the cry of your pillars, the countryside will shake. All the oarsmen, the sailors, and all the the mariners of the sea will come down from their ships to stand on the ground. They will raise their voices over you and cry bitterly. They will throw up dust on their heads. They will roll themselves in ashes. They will shave themselves bald for you and put on sackcloth. They will weep for you with bitter soul, with bitter lament. In their wailing, they will take up a lament for you. They will mourn over you. Who is like Tyre, silenced in the midst of the sea? When your merchandisers came out from the seas, you satisfied many people with the abundance of your wealth and your wares. You enriched the kings of the earth. Now you are shattered by the seas and the depths of the waters. Your merchandise and all your company have fallen in your midst. All the inhabitants of the coastlands are appalled at you. Their kings are horribly afraid. Their faces are convulsed. The merchants among the people hiss at you. You have become a horror and will be no more. And I will come back with part 4.